and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Two Fat Guys Talking Flowers, where we're always going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly about flowers. I'm Fern. We got Mimi on the ones and twos today. Joelle's not here.
Miss you, Joelle.
We got Ryan on Zoom. We got Mike at Jet Fresh North Country, and our awesome true life floral celebrity is none other than Mr. J Schwanke.
Here I go.
Thank you. You're very kind. I'm just the flower guy. That's all. So
Jay, you are absolute true to life floral celebrity. You got your own TV show. You got a couple TV shows. You got a couple spots.
He had bouquets named after him. He's had, you name it. Jay literally was born on at a floral convention. So
it's true. I do not have a flower named after me, just so that you're aware.
Oh, let's make
What
sure.
flower,
make everyone
what flower
aware.
is that?
He doesn't. He has
Any flower. I don't have a flower named after me. So
We need a Mommy Black Rose, and we need a J Schwanke flower. Things
has
to
to be
work.
there you
orange.
go. Yeah.
It has to be orange. We can name him one of the hippie roses. We can name after Jay because it has to be orange.
Or it could be green.
Green too.
Or yeah, I mean, and it would be and everybody's like, what should it be? What I want to tell you about what it should be is something I can get my hands on all the time because I will promote the crap out of it and I will want it on all of my shows all the time.
In true Jay
people
style.
asking for it every day. And so it just needs to be available.
You know, our breeder community is missing out. This is like a true PSA to the breeder community. Free promotion.
It's true. I've always asked, and I'm just like, just make sure it's available. Don't give me something that's only available for like 3 weeks a year, or, half year offer. It's got to be available all the time. So yeah. And I love carnations.
I was gonna say, look at those beautiful.
Those are Florigines right behind you, right?
They are. They're one of our. Tori Flowers is one of our underwriters for Life in Bloom, and they were here for a donor event that we had. So for WGV here in Grand Rapids. So, and of course, those are 2 weeks old. They're amazing. I love
Florigines are the best. They last forever.
They do. Such good genetic. And okay, here's a little side note, and I think this is very interesting. I just think this is a PSA as well. They're often coveted and sometimes imitated, but they have to be careful how they imitate them because there's a genetic marker in them. So if somebody steals one, they just have to examine it and they will know that it was stolen.
Really? I didn't know that.
Very clever.
I just remember when they first launched the amazing marketing they had behind them. Like they had such great marketing. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. And the new Ocean series chrysanthemums, and there's they have
Ocean. Love them.
There's more coming. There's more coming from people that are in both garden and cut flower that are going to be amazing. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of people don't believe that they're real. Like
it's true.
They're color enhanced in some way.
And that was the beauty of the concept, was borrowing that color gene from another flower that exists. So these are mostly from petunias that are so they're those petunia colors. So it's a natural color that exists in nature, but just not in that flower.
I also like how you have them, like they're all shades of purple. It looks good because you could see the texture of them more. Like they highlight more,
Yeah,
they have like a worldwide patent. Like they have like
yes, a very aggressive patent.
Yes.
I love them.
It's good. It should be that way.
They also
make flower I know that actually gets that consistent price. The price doesn't really fall. The price.
It's true, and I think it's just that is their careful marketing about it, and I think that they're ensuring that it's the color they want and the longevity that they continue to promise, and so it's so it's a no-brainer for people. I think that's true. So yeah.
When we were trying to get moon carnations early on, and they wouldn't let us in. We produced a video. We had this guy that worked for us in the warehouse, and he had that voice from the guy from the movies from the attractions.
Yeah.
And his name was Mike, but we couldn't call him Mike, so his name was Movie Mike because he had the movie voice. So he was Movie Mike.
He smoked like a pack of cigarettes a day, and he had a really deep New York. Was he Puerto Rican, I think, or Dominican? He had a really deep accent. but
he was
perfect movie theater voice.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Fantastic. If we can play that somewhere in here,
we'll put
Ryan,
it in right now.
If we can insert it, it was one of the best videos I think we ever put out. And,
awesome.
And I believe, I wasn't told, but I believe that's what finally got Corey Sanchez to talk to me. Was that video.
Corey is such a sweet man. I travel with him a lot, and he's the bomb. He's really, really fun.
Yeah.
So he's been around in the industry forever, and so he knows, he's one of those guys in the industry that's a flower lifer. So yeah.
Yeah.
Like you.
Corey, I haven't seen
the video.
Corey.
How do I?
No.
You have to share your screen if you want to hear it.
Oh.
From far and beyond comes an exclusively rare and hard to find ninth wonder of the world. Mystically long-lasting, vibrant colors that capture the imagination. An epic discovery on Earth has been unveiled. From the exclusive, high-end breeder and grower Flourishing Flowers, Jet Fresh Flower Distributors presents the Moon Series Carnations. A unique collection of mauve, violet, and purple carnations. Featuring Moon Pearl, Moonberry, Moonique, Moon Velvet, Moonlight, Moon Vista, Moon Shade, Moon Aqua. The Moon Series Carnations. The perfect carnation universally sought after to take your event or wedding where no carnation has gone before. For standing orders and open market pricing and availability, contact your salesperson today.
That was amazing.
There we go.
Yay, that was amazing.
Mike.
So yeah, that's that. Yeah.
So yes, but speaking of floral legends, Jay, you got to tell us. Okay, first, Ryan asked, what show were you born at?
What
flower show were you born at?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was born at the Nebraska Florist Society Growers School in March of 1960. And so my mom and dad were the executive directors of the Nebraska Florist Society and also of NEMOCAN, which was 1971 for 20 years or so. So it was a tri-state convention too, but they would have 4 conventions a year. So they would have a spring, summer, fall, winter, Nebraska Florist. And there were 411 florists that were members in Nebraska, and we would have these big conventions. And so it was a grower school, just talking to people about their growing, what they were going to grow and plant for the coming season. And my mom was running the registration desk. She was typing out badges. She looked at my dad and said, "My water just broke. I think I need to go somewhere with this baby." And there was a raging blizzard going on, 19 inches of snow. And so they paged the front desk. There was a general practitioner who delivered me in room 386 of the Hastings Hotel.
Oh my gosh.
And I was the new product exhibit.
He's really serious. I thought Mimi was just joking.
No. And so then the other second question everybody wants to ask is, what does the J stand for? It does not stand for anything, because my mother I was the third child, and I have 2 older sisters, and she was thoroughly convinced that the pregnancies were exactly the same. So I was going to be a girl. So my name was going to be Jennifer. And when I was born, I could not be Jennifer. And so then she was like, and my dad's name is Melvin. My grandpa's name is Herman. And my dad's all German lineage. So everybody all the boys have middle names of their father and grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, well, I know that I want to start with J, Melvin, Herman, Schwanke, filled out the birth certificate, fell back asleep. They took the birth certificate, and it just ended up with the letter J. So it doesn't stand for anything.
So it's not J-M-H.
Literally the letter J. Love that.
Not J-A-Y.
10th letter man. That is Mimi. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's that. And people right from the show write in all the time. What does it stand for? We think it's John. We think it's Jim. We think it's Jerome.
We got to keep this a secret. We should keep them guessing. That's always good.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No.
If you could pick a name, would you fill it out or would you keep it as Jay?
Oh, that is the coolest thing my mother ever did for me.
Okay. Nice.
And it was kind of unintentional, but it has been a door opener. It's been a cool thing. It engages audiences. I mean, there is nothing wrong with it.
Was it ever a problem in like school where the teacher's like, your name can't just be a letter. What's your real name? And you say Jay, and then she's like,
there are three stories. There are three stories. Number one, there was my third grade teacher, Mrs. Brower, a very old woman, came in and she told me and cracked my hands with a yardstick and said, "You will write your full name Jay." And so then I went home and I told my mom and I said, Mrs. Brower made me write my name Jay, and that's not my name. She grabbed me by the hand, took me back to that school. I was sitting at the bench outside the principal's office and it had like one of those windows in it, where you can just see the shadow of people, And my mom was just poking her finger in Mrs. Brower's chest. So by the silhouette I could see. And then when she came out, she said, "That's all settled. You can write your name the way it's supposed to be." And I was like, "Okay." But then, when I was 18, I had to sign up for selective service for Vietnam, and I went to the post office, and they said, "We cannot sign him up with his name being just the letter J. You have to change it to Jay." And she was like, "I'm not changing it." And my mom got into this huge argument with the postal guy. And he said, "Then we're just not going to put him in here."
Oh, great.
Shit. Great way to get out of war.
Walked away. Yeah. My dad's a Marine too. So my dad, so he was like, "What do you mean you didn't put him in there?" Anyway, so then my draft number would have been 7.
Wow.
We wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation because I am the guy who would put the daisies in the end of the gun. I mean, that's me. That would that life picture for you from Life magazine, but I'm a lover, not a fighter. So and then when 9/11 happened, I had to fly to Minneapolis to talk to the president of Northwest Airlines at that point in time and explain to him that my name was just a letter J because they would no longer let you. Remember how they used to let you make your plane ticket out to an initial? Mm-hmm. And then somebody else could use your plane ticket if they wanted to. But after 9/11, that all stopped. No. Mm-hmm. So now all of my tickets say J. Melvin Herm because that's all the room there is for it. And it's all run together. And so it's still J. Melvin Herm. But Delta Airlines created a special program for me to send my tickets to me because my email is the letter J at ubloom.com. And computers don't like that. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool because I don't get a lot of spam.
Yeah.
It all works out.
The guys who are doing the fraud are like, "Oh, this is a fake email. Don't even bother with that guy."
Exactly. So that's cool. So yeah.
So Jay's been not just a celebrity, but he's also royalty because Carnation Joe and his mom were celebrities in the floral industry, and not just in the floral industry, but Ryan, you're going to really appreciate this. They used to match all the time, and they were on. Remember when they were on the Today Show? Was it the Today Show?
Yeah, they were on the Today Show with Justin Bieber and Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler was like, "Are these people for real?
They would match his tie would match her dress or his ascot or his little everything.
His tie would always match her dress. So yeah, and there's on is it Yahoo.com? There's the famous. If you look up the famous matching couple, there's a video on Yahoo about them, and they came to my mom and dad's house, and they did.
They're so cute. I mean, Adam Sandler should have made a movie about them. That would have been a perfect movie, Adam Sandler missed the point right there.
He missed out.
It's okay. It's okay. Count your blessings.
Yeah, they're still your parents. I know.
Yeah. So that was, But yeah, they had 147 matching outfits. Yep.
Wow.
Awesome.
They're so
Yeah.
cute.
That's half a year. That's almost half a year's worth. That's fantastic.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So Jay,
Wild.
we gotta you were born in a floral convention.
Correct.
Although your dad was a Marine, it seems like
Yeah.
flowers, there was no other option, right? So
Oh, yeah,
how did it go from being born in a floral convention to everything that led you up to where you are now?
Well, so I come from a fourth generation family of florists. My great grandfather started our family business in 1896. He sold palms to Victorian homes. Then my grandfather took it over, and then he had three daughters. So the daughters, were sent out to find husbands, and my dad was the one that came back that wanted to run the business. I left my family business in 1994 because I wanted to move the business to Omaha rather than being in Fremont. Fremont, Omaha, and Lincoln form a triangle. And it was just getting too difficult. My dad was the type of guy who was, I'm not going to turn over this business to you. You got to pry it out of my dead hands. And I'm also not that guy. So, so that was a good reason. And I love the education part. I hated the personnel issues and all that, the checks and the statements and the banking and the taxes and all that stuff that goes with a business. I just like the education part. So I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and then I was the general manager of the flower shop from the time I was 16 until I was 34. And I would go to school. I would go get the flower shop started, go to school, get out of school, come back and finish running the flower shop. And we had 19 employees, and we did about $1.6 million a year in a town of 25,000 people.
That's huge.
In 1984. And we had 9 other competitors in town.
Wow.
So, it was a deal. We did a really good job, and I love flowers, and I just wanted to educate. So then I moved to Atlanta, and I started working for the John Henry Company, and that led to me being one of the Oasis first design or one of the Oasis ambassadors, their first design director. I worked for Kreisel as their and still do. I'm crazy about Kreisel. It's my favorite flower food. Love it. And
Jay drank the Crown and Glory on stage.
I would drink Crown and Glory on stage, yeah, to prove people that it wouldn't hurt their flowers. There's that.
I'm like, don't do that, Jay. Don't do that.
I tried to drink the Rive Alive the other day. Mimi almost slapped it out my hand.
Don't do that, Fern.
Fern,
Don't do that.
Yeah. So there was about 14 or so different companies that I did flower representation for. I did over 10,000 educational seminars in the United States, all 50 states. So, and then also in Europe, in England, in France, in Canada, in South America, Colombia. And I love that part of it because there is nothing better than helping our industry become educated. And that is something that we're lacking very much today because we now all depend on social media, and anyone can go on social media and say anything they want and appear to be an expert. And there isn't a company there helping them be better and providing the accurate information, and it was funny. The other day, this is an example, and I thought about this when I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you guys. I saw this thing, and this person said, I've developed a pocket boutonniere, and she pulled up this plastic pocket protector, and then she cut flowers and glued them and stuck them into the pocket protector and then slipped it into the lapel and said, this is a great way to do this, and I'm the person who figured it out. Okay, it's one of the few things that I could argue that I invented that because I made it for a John Henry book back in 2004, and the picture's in the book. So, and the way I developed it, it was made on cardboard. It didn't have stems. I made it so that it was also compostable. Adding a plastic protector and stuff is not making this better. It's, but it's another way to do it. Absolutely, positively. I'm all about that. But not the developer. Just saying. Because I know that person intimately. And that is the problem. That's the problem. Or, somebody wants to stick hydrangeas in boiling water to make them revive,
Anybody can have a master
way too
class
much on Rose Pro hydration, and
We
that's
worked
what I
so
do.
hard, Jay, on that.
I've
Yeah.
never, ever, ever had an issue with hydrangeas my entire life, ever, because I do Rose Pro hydration.
Yeah.
So I can even buy cheap ones, and I won't have issues. So
I just like dunking them in water, cold water.
Yeah, but
always
it doesn't.
dunked ahead.
And I think that that's an interesting concept, and I think it's fun, and it's like when Martha Stewart goes on television and has you smash the stems.
Mm-hmm.
I think she does it for audience appeal. She wants Stephen Colbert to be smashing stems with a hammer because that's violent and reactive.
That's good television.
That's good TV right there.
Yeah, and so I want people to do what's right and best for the flower.
And what's going to always work. That's the thing, is that if you use the preservative, it's always going to work. Maybe you got great hydrangeas and then you stump them and do everything and then pound them and then
you have a problem.
They have a problem.
Yeah.
But with the
and then you're like, oh, I hate hydrangeas.
Yeah,
not the hydrangeas.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that small. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's yeah. So that's so then when I was 9 years old, I would watch Carol Burnett with my mother and on Saturday nights, and I would say, I want to have a television show. And she's like, and she used to say, well, you're not Carol Burnett. And so supportive, always so supportive, my mother. And
I love that show.
Yeah, that was
I still watch it if I can find it.
Exactly.
I still watch it.
And so it was always a goal for me to have a television show about flowers. And I guested on P. Allen Smith's show about 16 times. Actually, I'm doing a program with P. Allen Smith this weekend. So we're in the same program in Evansville, Indiana, and we're both going to be there. And it's been a long time since we've seen each other. But I guested on his show, and then he tried to give me a leg up and help me to figure out how to have a show. I was also working with Genevieve Gorder at Disney, and she had said, you need to go to PBS. Do not go to TLC. Do not go to the, what's the other one? TLC and
Bravo.
Better Homes.
Better Homes and Gardens.
Uh-huh.
The channel. She said, because you won't be able to control the content of your show. If you go to PBS, you can control the content of your show. And that was accurate. Correct. And so that's why we went there, because and it was funny, like I quit. I was on the AIFD board of directors, and I stopped doing that. And I called Kelly and said, I'm done with AIFD. And I had gotten off the board, and he said, why don't you come home and do something for us? Let's build something for us. And so we built our little show online that led to this bigger show.
Not a little show. Yeah. Jay, you're being super humble, and also super humble about,
Yeah, I mean, we are in all 50 states, 115 million households every week. We have 5 national time slots with 3 different shows every week, which is amazing. It's because people love our show. Now, it's also very important to realize we are part of the American Public Television Exchange Program. So it's an interesting story about the way things work in television. Every public television station has a very limited budget for what they can purchase content. And they want to purchase Antiques Roadshow and Nature and Nova. And they don't really want to spend money on gardening shows or things like that. And so it was advised by my rep at APT, American Public Television, to become part of the American Public Television Exchange Program, which means that we offer our program free of charge to all networks and all public television station networks, and also to all public television stations across the country, free of charge, with a 3-year unlimited license and then an in perpetuity license. And we pay their licensing and distribution for them, which is why we have set up and created a nonprofit, the Life in Bloom Foundation, that helps us create that show and offer it to those people for free. And because our show is good, and so that's it. It's important that's part of it. People love our show. It's a beloved show. They call me the Bob Ross of flowers. They call me the Mr. Rogers of flowers.
Yeah.
They're very kind things. And it's like
it's like a mix of Bob Ross and Alton Brown, kind of like.
Oh, completely. And I get Alton Brown a lot. There's a lot of people who make that comparison too. And so I think that it's a really good thing. And my goal, and this is in alignment with my father. My father was the president of SAF. He was one of the 9 people who started the American Floral Endowment. He always gave back to the flower industry, knowing that, it would help everyone. And that is something that I wanted to do, is I wanted to give that education to the consumer to make them purchase more flowers. And because our show aired during the pandemic and everybody was unplugging, they started watching our show and we got millions of fans.
The Schwankies, right? What are they called?
Well, share your Schwankies too. Yeah. People send us pictures of arrangements they've created inspired by Life in Bloom. And so then we have now done for a year. This next week will be a year. We've been working with Ocean Breeze Flowers, and every week they draw one of those people who have sent us pictures and send them a free box of flowers.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Encourage them to share with other people and to experience the health and wellness benefits of flowers, because that's our mission. Our mission is to share that health and wellness benefit. And it was during the pandemic that people actually started to understand that it was real. They felt better. They felt less depressed. They were happier because the flowers were in the house. There were less arguments. They were enlarging their circles of friends. All of those things that flowers can do. Mm-hmm. So that's the important part about why we do it and why it's important. I know that, it was interesting, Mimi, because you'd asked me the question about, why is our show important to the flower industry? And I just gave you the reasons that I do it. But I'd be curious to know what you guys think, because that's my other issue is I need to have the industry talk about our show and our industry watch our show, because it's what we're feeding to 115 million households every week.
Well, so I think it's great, especially in the earlier years when you would go out to the farms and show everybody. I don't know what this year's lineup is, but I love it because whenever I see it on TV, I tell Oliver's like, hey, that's our friend Jay. We went to dinner with Jay, remember? I'm like, yeah. So it's really exciting to see Jay, especially, to me, you've always been a star, even on YouTube, way ahead of the time. You were way ahead of the curve with everybody with having educational videos out there. And you were not just relatable to the floral industry. Like you said, you had the capture that could capture somebody who's a professional and somebody who also is a garden enthusiast, let's say, which was something that was really hard to do because you could get that white coat, like, this is how you do it, or you could get that, like, welcoming feeling. So I think it's important to have faces like yours that invite everybody to come and have flowers at home. But not just that, you also make sure to respect the chain. And I think that's, that goes way beyond because of all the years that you've been in the floral industry. Like, you're not just telling everybody, okay, go get flowers here, because you do talk a lot about gardening too, but you always bring it back to, how you properly handle it, where you get your flowers from. And yeah, taking it to the farm has always been my favorite. Whenever you talked, I remember, like, I went up to Chad from Euphoria. I was like, J Schwanke, I feel like I know you because Jay made me know you, like years ago. And it was just like, you opened up doors to that. And I feel like that's how consumers.
The whole reason that we started doing farm tours, because he invited me to come out there, and we went out there to shoot pictures for ads for him. And I was just like, we got to show this to people because people don't understand where those flowers come from. So to answer your question, this season, we have 2 shows that are dedicated to the culture and custom of lei. We went to Hawaii.
Ooh,
and so we did 2 shows for season 7, and we'll have 2 shows in season 8. The 2 shows in season 8, we will actually go to see Tessie Amore and her breeding facility at the University of Hawaii, and we will also go see Eric at Greenpoint Nursery. For season 7, we're going to FBI Flowers, Frank Biddle Flowers International. We are going to Kendall Farms and seeing all their technology. You guys were there.
Drones,
you saw
the big drone we can't stop talking about.
Whole thing on our show. So they flew the drone for us. We followed the buckets. It's amazing. And then we're going to see Phil Rolota because AIFD came to me and said, we really wish you would do it more with AIFD. And I was just like, well, then let's just go for the top dog. Let's go see Phil Rolota and talk about his flowers and arrange with the king. And Kathy made a Polipino dish for us in her kitchen and a cocktail for us. And so that's coming. And we have a show about mason jars and the history of mason jars. We also have a show where it's going to happen in a couple of weeks. I'm going to the Bob Ross Experience on Bob Ross's birthday. And they're going to give me one of Bob Ross's paintings to interpret through flowers. And I'm going to stand on the set where Bob stood.
Oh,
and
amazing.
with my friend.
I just got goosebumps. That's awesome,
so
Jay.
Jay is like the OG floral influencer.
No.
Right?
Wait. Let me just also give another cred to Jay. I got a Christmas present from Jay, must have been 10 years ago, flower frogs. This was way before flower frogs were fucking cool. I'm sorry. But he has a collection of flower frogs, like really ornate ones. And this was like, he was way ahead of that trend, way ahead of color enhanced.
What's a flower frog?
Oh, come on, Fern. Fern.
So there's many different types.
Oh, look, see, there he goes, being nice and educating.
There's a pin holder. There's ones that are glass that have holes in them, and you put them in the bottom of the vase to hold, or the neck of the vase to hold the flowers in place. And Mimi, I have a problem. I have over 750.
I know. I've seen your collection. Yeah. I mean, I remember you did a video, and then I was like, okay, I got to get flower frogs. But this was way ahead.
And there is an episode this season about flower frogs, so you're aware.
See?
So yeah.
So I met Jay. And I really, Jay, you probably won't remember, this was probably early 2000s.
Wow.
We were at a Greenleaf Jamboree.
Ooh.
You were speaking at the Jamboree. And I didn't know who Jay was. And this was one of my first business trips ever. So we're there and we set up a booth. And the whole Jamboree was basically vendors selling their products, to the Greenleaf customers to go through Greenleaf. And then Jay gets up on stage. And all of a sudden, the place just went silent.
Yeah.
It's like the ladies and the gentlemen that were there almost stopped breathing and hung on every single word that Jay said.
Yeah. We did flower crowns
amazing.
before. Jay, you did flower crowns before flower crowns were a thing, too. Remember that, too?
That's true. That flower crowns have taken on a life of their own.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea behind the flower crowns is just that we keep flowers top of mind. Hello?
And the spin, the marketing spin on this guy, always.
So Fern, I have to tell you something about that. Greenleaf, love. I grew up with Robert and Scott Kitayama. So those two guys, we would always go to SAF conventions together, and we would be the kids that would run around loose from our parents because you could do that. We would push all the buttons in the elevator, and we were always doing all those crazy things. And Robert and I have been friends forever. And then his marketing manager for Greenleaf was Jana Neitz, who probably set you up for that. And that is Chad Nelson's mother-in-law.
Oh, wow.
So the whole industry is all like this.
Yeah.
It's a big tangled thing. But those jamborees were way fun. And
really
I have to tell you that my favorite part of the flower industry was being able to go to those events and make a difference in those people and give them the opportunity to know that there was somebody on their side who also was working in a flower shop. Because let's be honest about it. It is super duper duper hard work. It is thankless. It is 24/7. You are always, and you're dealing with the perishable. I mean, and it's the most fun in the whole world. I mean, I think that's also a really important part of it. But, you needed somebody to say, I get it. I get it when you say you're tired and you're done. And we were in my flower business. I worked with my mom, my dad, my aunt, my cousin, my sister, my brother-in-law, at that point in time, a wife and her father-in-law, and a woman who worked for us for 97 years. And
97.
Excuse me, 67 years. She died when she was 98. So 67 years. She was our bookkeeper, okay, for 67 years. They made Ann Andrews Day in our mayor proclaimed Ann Andrews Day the day she retired from our business.
Wow.
Which is great. So anyway, but my mom would come up and say, well, tomorrow's Christmas Eve or tomorrow's Christmas Day. What time are you coming over to the house? Don't want to come.
Yeah.
I have seen enough of all of you. I need a break. And it's hard because you're in the, and you're not working, 8 hours with your family. You're working 14.
Yeah.
And, and I would try to get to work earlier than my dad, and he would just come in earlier.
Yes.
So I could have come to work at 4:00, and my dad would have
Michael Black right there.
Mine did not. No, mine loved it.
Yeah, and he was crazy about it, but he wanted to be better than anyone else. And he was, he loved that. And we did a really cool interview with him where he talked about he loved to make casket sprays because it was a really emotional way to turn people's feelings into flowers. And he really felt the respect he would give someone by making that casket spray. And I think that's a cool thing, and that was, my dad wanted to be a mortician, but my mom, lassoed him and brought him into the flower business. So yeah, crazy, but that's what we do. And I think that was my favorite thing, was doing those shows. And that's why I think when the show and educational circuit evaporated, which I think is a huge mistake, and all companies should have educational seminars and pay professional educators to come in. Sorry, just my soapbox. But now I have that ability of giving those. Well, so in an average month, we have almost 6,000 shows that air on PBS.
Wow.
So we're doing it 6,000 times every month.
Is that between the two? Because you have
that's between
Life in Bloom,
400.
Life in Bloom, and you also have Fun with Flowers and Jay.
Oh no, that doesn't include Fun with Flowers. That's just Life in Bloom. That's just Life in Bloom. Wow. So we still put another show on our website every week. So we have Fun with Flowers. We have Behind the Bloom, which is more information about the guests that we have on our show and tells more of their backstory. Then we have At Home with Flowers, which is really a tutorial designed for consumers to do better flower arranging. So we have those 3 series that reside on ubloom.com. So yeah, and you can watch so here's the other thing. Everybody always says, I don't get PBS because I understand how streaming and all that works today, and people don't have cable. So you can watch my show for free at ubloom.com, all of the episodes. You simply have to register. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to register. Or you can watch it at pbs.org, and you can watch all the shows on pbs.org without having anything. And then for the 1,800 other videos that we have that are tutorials, like how to make a casket spray, how to make a cascade bouquet, those types of things, you can join our website for $7.95 a month or $79.95 a year. And all of that money goes to our foundation. There is no profit. Us. Yeah, it all goes to the Life in Bloom Foundation, which also provides free memberships to our website for educators anywhere in the United States. And also, so this is a very funny thing to me. If you want a free membership to UBloom and you're a member of Cal Flowers, just call Cal Flowers and they'll give you one, because that's a benefit we give Cal Flowers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Cal Flowers, you can have a free membership, all access membership through Cal Flowers.
That's a good one.
There's that.
That's a good one, right? You see, we need our membership.
Yeah.
We have a membership. We
have one to Cal Flowers, but
but to our listeners.
We're sitting on our UBloom one. Yeah.
All you have to do is just call Jordan, and Jordan will get it set up. So that's easy. That's cool.
I'm on it.
Jay, how many people? Jay, you have your own production team, right? I can only assume with all the videos and everything, the content you put out, you have your own production team. How many people do you have in that?
So my executive producer and the graphic and creative artist is my husband, Kelly.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I have Chris and Keith, Chris Randall and Keith Galinsky, who are Full View Incorporated. They are my director, editor, cameraman, director of photography, and sound. We have one other person that is as an assistant, so that person changes according to what our needs are. And we have a still photographer, Raul Valesco, and that's us.
And everybody travels wherever you go.
No, I mean, when we have a production, they go with us, but not wherever I go.
But so how many shows? Look how many shows you're putting out. Did you guys buy houses next to each other so that you guys can record at a moment?
No, but you know what? I've known these guys from just right after they got married. Now they all have families. Keith has 3 beautiful children. Chris has 2 beautiful children. Chris's daughter is going to be on the show this season with a flower craft episode. Emily, she's 11 and she's going to be on the show.
That's cute.
But I've worked with those boys forever, and they edit a show. And Chris will tell you, he will say, I've edited a show for every week for the past 18 years. Whatever, since 2006. It's true. It's a train that keeps coming at him. It's true. But every week he edits a show. So that's what we do. But it's also a great job because ever since 2006, he's edited a show every week. And I pay well. Yeah. So.
Are there limitations or like things that you had to adjust on the show because you're on PBS or things like that?
That's a really great question, Ryan. Yes. Our show has to always be educational in its nature. We cannot be promotional or qualitative or commercial in any way, shape, or form. And so each show, once it's completed, is vetted by American Public Television and the FCC. And so they look at it and say, so I can give you an example. Like if I can talk about these carnations and I can talk about these purple carnations or these blue chrysanthemums or these applause roses, but I can't say that they're from Suntory Flowers and I can't tell you how to buy them or what they cost. I can talk to you about them being genetically modified, and in that genetic modification, when they replace that color gene, they replace the botrytis sensitive gene, and that's why they last so long. That's just information that actually occurs about that product. But I can't say these are the best carnations, they last the longest. I can't do things like that. And so it's a little confusing sometimes for underwriters to understand that first, because we're used to commercial television where everybody's selling something.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Right.
And on public education, we are promised and also the guidelines ensure that we will always be educational in nature and tell the truth. So they will also vet something and be like, hey, you talked about that study. Let me see it. I want to see that study to make sure that what you said is correct. So that's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
When we lived in Long Island, Ryan, we had that old shitty Cape house that we lived in. And
what's a
week,
Cape house?
It's like a housing development. They made like 1,000. All the houses are all exactly the same. They built them right after World War II, when all the GIs were coming back, and they were like building homes throughout Long Island, and it was just huge developments. And everyone was exactly the same. Anyway, they called them Cape houses. I don't know why, but it was always in need of repair. And one of my favorite shows was This Old House, and I will watch This Old House. Not for entertainment purposes. I watched it because I saw how you could do shit by yourself. How you can go to Home Depot and fix stuff. This is before YouTube and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That's how you learn stuff. So I get it how people who don't know anything about flowers are fascinated by flowers. Just I can understand how they would, and then you take Jay's personality and you put that towards education, whatever. Like it's no different than having a great teacher at school and just sitting there. You can't get enough of that teacher. You just want to listen
to every word they say.
Listen, and then you got the crappy teacher. You can't. You're throwing spitballs around. You don't want to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. It's
different. It's different. But so was This Old House on the same kind of?
It is.
Thing like you're doing with the foundation and stuff.
What's very interesting is he is sponsored by Ford trucks, but he drives a GMC truck on the show.
Right.
He has to. So so they're governed by the same thing. And here's what's really weird. So we grew up, Mike, you and I, we grew up watching PBS. I mean, we watch all that stuff. And so you
you mentioned Nature.
Yeah.
I forgot about Nature, but I love that show.
Oh,
Me and Mommy used to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. And so
I think it's on Sunday nights, if I'm not mistaken.
What's interesting is you go to these, we have the conference coming up and we have to go pitch our show to all of the programmers. And we're all there. This Old House people and Matt Paxton from Legacy List and Lydia from Lydia's Kitchen and all there together. And you're talking to these Rick Steves, and and Rick Steves, who owns $100 million corporation for Trump, but he's the coolest guy. He came to Michigan to help us legalize marijuana and give programs about it.
My kind of guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. And all these people are the nicest people in the world. And, you get a hobnob with them and rub elbows. And it's just kind of like, and it's like, I'm on before Lydia in a lot of markets. And so when I got to meet her, I was like, oh my God, my show comes on before yours. And she's like, well, I need to watch it then, And so, it's a really cool family. And I am very, very proud and honored to be part of the American Public Television family and there are very few shows that, because we offer ours through the exchange and our show is popular and beloved, I am in a group with, they refer to Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross, Julia Child, Lydia Bastianich, me, and it's like, I'm included in that group.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool
because
group.
Yeah, it's just like, and they're like, your show is beloved, and that's a term I keep using, but they keep saying that to me, so it's like, remember, your show is beloved.
No,
and I'm like,
and also it's trusted. So that's the whole thing about PBS.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just getting somebody, because nowadays, just like you said, Jay, like I can go and say something on the air, and I try to check myself because anybody can check me and then say, hey, you said something wrong, because that's the time we live in, where before you would say something and then everybody in the school would know you were the authority. But I feel like when I watch PBS, and I love PBS, but when I watch PBS or listen to NPR or listen to like things that I know that are not being sold to me, that's the whole idea
there's
of
no
like
propaganda.
There's no propaganda. I feel
education.
like I'm trusted there. We live in this era now of like, oh, you listen to that news, that's what you listen to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you feel like you're told a story, whereas PBS, it's so clean and good. I tell my kids all the time, because they grew up on watching a lot of PBS shows and
Sesame
the cartoons,
Street.
Sesame Street. Yeah. There was the fairy
we all
tales
came
where they
from
would tell
Sesame
them
five bots. Ha ha.
But it's important to
Exactly.
feel trusted these days, and that's why I think you're like one of the perfect faces to represent the industry with that, because you are trusting. You are never going to say something that you don't believe in. Like,
Correct.
like you're not going to be like, oh, these purple flowers are not the best flowers, because exactly, like you're going to say it if you really believe it. Like, your relationships.
Well, he gave us the whole genetics. They took out the botrytis. That's
he
why they
learns.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've been selling those flowers for 20 something years, and I didn't know about.
I was the buyer and selling them, and I didn't know that
he gets on the development team when he works with a company.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at. Like, he really goes in there. It's not just like, let me give me what I have to say. He's going to learn and figure out what he should say, not what you have to say.
Yeah.
We quizzed people a lot when you'd had those Kreisel development things. And and I still to this day, I call Dennis and I'm just like, okay, listen, I'm confused. Run through this with me more time, or tell me how I should do this.
Yeah.
And those guys are great about it. And I think that's a really important.
Remember when you used to fight with Gay about the adding ice to the water?
True.
They would go back and forth, and I'd be in the middle of the email going, oh God, guys.
Right. And so if you want to add ice to your water to cool it down, make sure that you measure the water after you add the ice before you add the nutrient. That's what Gay taught me.
Another tip. There you go.
There you go.
So that
if
you're not
you're just diluting the nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And if you dilute the nutrients or you use too much, it's going to give you less vase life than if you use none at all.
Exactly.
You need to tell that to your bartender, Fern.
Yeah.
When they're pouring you the scotch on the rocks, do
not dilute my scotch.
Do not dilute my scotch. Yeah. Hey, so by the way, just as a side note, Suntory also has Suntory liquors, which then they have the Toki whiskey, which
we need a sample of that. We don't know that.
You're gonna have to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully Corey's listening.
Corey, if you're listening, we need a sample.
Corey is still the best dressed man in the floral industry. He still dresses, this man.
He does.
I feel like he was the prototype for Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I don't get in trouble because I've talked a lot about, so our underwriters are Cal Flowers is our major underwriter. Our national underwriter is Albertsons grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
We have Suntory Flowers, as I spoke about. We also have Passion Roses.
Nice.
And our new closed caption underwriter is fabulousflorals.com, which is a website for people where consumers can buy flowers.
Nice.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
So Jay,
just so that I make say those people's names.
You've also written a couple of books, Bloom 365.
Love that one.
Fun with Flowers. Where do you find the time? I'm very curious at where you find the time to get all this stuff done.
Okay, so I have to say that Fun with Flowers won the Living Now Book Award, a silver one, and Bloom 365 was really Kelly's.
I was going to say
idea and how it all went together. That won the IPI, the Independent Book Publishers of the U.S. Home and Garden, the first time ever a cut flower book won gold, first prize.
I'm going to bring that book in for you, Ryan, because I think that you would really like Kelly's design.
It's 365 tricks of how to make flowers last long.
So clean. So it's so clean, and it, like you can.
Pretty.
Yeah,
it's a pretty book.
Yeah.
It's a pretty book. Yeah. Okay, so how do I find time? Okay, this is the easiest thing. It's not work. It's fun.
It's fun.
And so when your work is fun, it doesn't matter. And I have to be careful because for my crew, not my husband, well, not probably even my husband, but I can work forever. I can keep going forever. I can be up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I can film till midnight if I have to, because I'm having fun doing it. So it's not work to me. I'm passionate about it, but for them it is work. So I have to be respectful of how much they want to work. And sometimes that's really hard for us in the flower industry because I think we get drunk on the flower power, in that the flowers make us feel really good and they give us an extra lift and they give us extra dopamine and extra endorphins, and we can work longer and we can work, maybe less carefully, but we need to remember to respect ourselves and respect our own limitations. So, the other thing I would say, Fern, too, is that I couldn't do it without my husband. None of this would happen without Kelly. He will be the first one to be the man in the back of the room. He doesn't want to be talked to. He doesn't want to be talked about. He doesn't want to socialize. He likes Mimi, one of the few people that he likes.
Love him.
But,
Who doesn't?
But I could not do it without him. It's like having an extra person there. And we work in the same office together. We both work from home. He has other clients besides me, but I'm probably the biggest one and I pay the least. But without him, and it's interesting because like we do an awful lot of these donor events for helping stations raise money for their station, because every public television station is dependent on donations to exist. And it's also the America's emergency station. So if those PBS stations go away, we don't have an emergency station in the time of crisis.
Right.
So that's also an important function that they serve. But I always show a picture of my family. And so my family is my 2 dogs and my husband. And it's always like, this is my family, just so everybody is aware, it's my family. And that's something that's really important to me because you just should be able to love who you want to love. Mm-hmm. And I love him, and he is amazing, and he's why this show looks so good, why this show sounds so good. He writes the scripts. He is there when we film and tells me to do it a second time if I wasn't genuine enough or if I misspoke a word. He is the quality control guy.
He is your creative balance too, because both of you 100% balance each other, or harmonize. But I just read Big Magic, and I actually was thinking before knowing that you were coming on, and I thought of you the whole time because I was thinking Jay could not be happy if he wasn't with like that creative outlet, right? So that's your creative outlet. Flowers are totally your creative outlet. But Jay brings out Kelly brings out that creativity in you, Jay, that it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that even, I know Ryan feels that way too about Ashley, and I feel that way about Oliver sometimes, because it's like, he pushes me, like they push you, and it's a good push, it's like, yeah. So I also he will rein me in, and he'll just be like, people don't understand what you're talking about. Start over from the beginning, like we know. And that's really good advice sometimes. It's really good advice to just slow it down, because I am. And it's funny because you guys didn't really see him or anything you were at Fun and Sun together. But I mean, people will come up and will be in a situation with someone who doesn't know him, and they'll be like, oh, how come you're not saying anything? Or how come you're not, and I'm just like, please don't
Don't poke the bear.
Don't get me
He
started.
doesn't want to talk. He's just being nice.
We were at that beautiful house in San Diego on the ocean. Remember?
Oh my
2 weeks
God.
ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
We were at this. Me and Ryan were there. We were invited. It was Frank Biddle's event there that they had for, I guess,
Yeah.
their friends, and they were very kind to invite me and Ryan as well. And we went there on the way to the airport, and they had. It was just. It was like a movie place. Like it was
Exactly.
a beautiful
yeah.
house on the coast, and that's where I got to meet Kelly. You
Yeah, and
introduced us.
It was
very
interesting
nice.
because when we went in there, I was like, Frank, how do you go to work? And he's like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And I was like, how do you go to work?
Yeah.
This house, how do you go to work? And he's like, oh, this isn't my house. I rented this house.
Yeah.
I was
His
like,
house was next door.
Okay, now I know how you go to work. Okay, because I couldn't go to work if that's
Yeah.
where I live.
Yeah,
Well, absolutely
we said the
beautiful
same
spot.
thing. We were
Yeah.
inside that
I
office, like
definitely
we put a
have
desk.
to work from home.
here.
After seeing the pictures you guys took in that house, I'd be like, yeah,
That
that's
was
where I'd be
wild.
working.
That was wild. And he got Mike Mooney that just cruises in his swimsuit and heads to the water with a boogie board.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
That was
Yeah.
a real California moment, right?
It was. It was very fun.
It was really good.
So
But
Jay,
yeah, that's where we had a nice paella. I never had that before.
never
made by
had
a pirate.
paella?
Made by
Paella
a
by a pirate.
pirate. How was it made by a pirate?
Our matey.
The man who
Paella.
made it was a pirate. He was,
He
a
was
pirate.
dressed up like a pirate.
Oh,
Like the guy from Dodgeball, Ryan?
Exactly like that
that's
guy.
actually a great business plan, like a paella pirate, you know? That's a
Yeah,
pretty good
and I said,
yeah.
Are you a
There's
pirate? And he
me
said, what do you
paella.
think? I look like one, don't I? And I said, yes. And he said, I am a pirate. I make paella.
And a
You know,
parrot gives you the fork at the end.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's
no.
right, yeah.
You serious?
You guys are joking.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
I know they're both good
Yeah, look at
liars. You
them.
saw
I
that
don't know
face?
what to believe anymore. These guys are killing me.
Son, I was filling in for Casey because Michelle and Casey were having the baby and he couldn't leave town. And Ryan was speaking so I went out there and I was sorry that I'd never been there before. I had such a great experience. Such
Yeah.
a great experience.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's my
It's
favorite.
more than a show for me. Like it didn't seem like a show. It seemed more like a
It's
I
more
think
like
the
a
industry
community
get-together.
There you go, a community get together.
industry get together with education and some
The
nice
secret
dinners.
is the fun and the
Yeah.
sun. That it's
Yeah.
all part of it. It's all part of getting together. And I think everybody, all the airs are let down, and everybody's just being themselves and having a great time, and it's wonderful.
It has that laid back energy. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. I love it.
I just
love
realized we have 2 Marketer of the Years here.
Yes.
That's right.
Mm.
Oh, it is true.
Yeah, I just realized that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jay,
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that?
yeah.
How was that winning Marketer of the Year at SAF? Because you've been in the industry for so long, and then you kind of like, now that you're doing the TV show, you're out. So seeing you at the SAF, I was like, whoa, Jay's here. Like, it was so fun
I know.
seeing you.
And yeah, I mean, and it's funny because everybody's kind of like, you only show up when you're going to get an award.
Well, you
but-
got
but
an
the
award at
fun of-
AIFD and you weren't there. I was like, I saw that you were
It's
getting the award. I was so
true.
excited,
Yeah.
and then you're not there. I was like, oh, because
It
you were
was
busy.
true. I couldn't make it because that's the week of our marathon on Create TV, and so I was working on the marathon.
Oh.
That week our show was shown 17,000 times in the
Oh my
U.S.
God.
Amazing.
and even in prime time.
Beautiful.
It was great. It was crazy. But okay, so Marketer of the Year. Marketer of the Year was wonderful. I mean, I've always had so much respect for Dwight Larimer. He's been a lifelong family
Yeah.
friend, and that Marketer of the Year exists is really wonderful. So let's see, Mimi. Here, this might be something you want to cut out. My only unpleasant part about it was that after I won it, Terrell Nell came up and asked me to give him the check so that he could put it in the foundation.
Ah.
That is very on brand with him.
Oh,
So
man.
I wouldn't, put it past him. But yeah.
My check was spent before I made it back home from that trip.
Mine was too. Yeah, I get it. I get that completely. But and I think the nice thing about it is no matter who it is, a wholesaler, retailer, whoever that is, it's nice to be recognized by your industry for having done something wonderful.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think that
Yes, it is.
that's why it was great for you guys too. I mean, and it's there is something to be said by our peers saying good job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it means a lot to our soul.
Yeah. It's the only real validation, like that's like on paper. That's not like, you know, something within the company or something.
Right.
You know.
And it's hard because there are a lot of people that pick holes. There's a lot of those people, and I understand. And it's just, you know, it's one of those things. But, you know, I think it's really good when we get an attaboy, and I think it's a really nice attaboy, and it permeates.
I like the whole production of it at breakfast in the morning.
Oh, I love it.
You know, I think it's awesome, and I think that there's, you know, it's a beautiful thing that we take time in the middle of one of the biggest shows, you know, Society of American Florists, to just recognize
100%.
somebody who's done an amazing job.
Yeah.
Shout out Amanda.
Because for my whole career, I never participated in shows. I never went to shows. I never went to conventions. I was just staying in my hole, grinding out work, and never really gave that much thought. And then when I started to participate, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, I started to go to shows, and I started conventions mainly. And I just felt like I need to be here. I need to participate. Right. And then when Ryan entered the competition for Marketer of the Year, and going through that whole experience, just watching him get the award and watching him work to get the award and to prepare, and all the things that him and Ashley were doing to have the best presentation they could possibly have. And him winning was a really proud moment. But after that, I got to, like, I met Dwight. You mentioned Dwight Latimer and other people. And I started like to connect with like these industry legends, these people that have been around forever. And, you know, Dwight retired, and he asked me to take his place on the awards committee for SAF. And I had really not participated that much. Wow. And now that I participated on that 1 year, I see how cool it is for people other than my son to receive like these big awards. Absolutely. It's really, wow, it's so cool to watch them get these things, you know, just to see their reactions and their faces to the ones that like are somewhat surprised, that didn't really know. Yeah. I mean, some people already know, but not everyone. And I just, and going through the whole process of how they do it and listening to them talk, because these guys that have been in the industry, like Marvin, they just know everything about everybody, and they know their record and their history, and they know when they won the awards. And it's just, for me, it's like the biggest give back.
Yeah. Marvin is an
incredible
individual. Marvin is amazing.
I have an old friend and customer of my dad's in central New Jersey, and I was talking to his daughter a few years ago, and she told me that she found up in the attic an old wooden rose box that they used to deliver the roses in back in the time when roses were produced domestically. It was like a coffin, like a giant wooden coffin that the lid would be sealed with rope, that there was rope that would always be there. So I said, I have to have that box. She wouldn't sell it to me. She wouldn't give it to me. But I am on the hunt. I am looking for one of those old rose boxes, and I will pay, because I want to make it into like a piece of furniture or something.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, I completely get it. That's absolutely correct.
You know, the name of the farm is always like spray stenciled onto the wood, and it's perishable, keep from heat and frost.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think who else is around that. So that isn't what's the name of that New Jersey florist?
Morningside Florist in New Jersey.
The other person I would check with is Entenmann's. Do you know Entenmann's?
The cupcake guys?
No. Florist people.
I swear.
Oh, no, I don't know them.
Yeah, where Eddie Von Bargen works. Oh, my God. He makes the most incredible sympathy work. He makes like giant cheeseburgers, and he makes all these amazing things out of flowers. And Eddie Von Bargen is one of the most talented flower designers in our entire industry. And he's like 86 or 87, I think, maybe. But Eddie is amazing.
Oh, we got to find Eddie.
Wow.
He sounds like a good guy.
That would be, for me, that would be a great TV show, is to have like an old fashioned grower that in the middle of nowhere that no one knows about.
Absolutely.
Still hanging in there with old varieties. Like, I just think that's great stuff.
Jay, we have a great reality show here at Jet Fresh ready to film. We've got people interested in it. The problem is that we can't go to PBS. We can't go to PBS because when it's time to sell, we'll be hearing a lot of F-bombs, and when there's a shortage on the market, you hear some stuff, you know. But yeah,
they had offered me 2 reality shows that I turned down, one on TLC and one on HGTV. One was flipping a flower shop and giving me $10,000. And then they told me that they would, especially if I did not have chemistry with the people, they would like break the pipes or set it on fire and make it, more
dramatic.
Scam. HGTV, and then the other one was
that's where we
need
no.
I mean, but here's the deal, and this is the thing I'm going to warn you guys about. When you go to them and they produce it and you pitch them the idea, you make no money.
Yeah, right.
Producer does. So Mimi, you could produce it, and then you would make the money, and then
there we go. That's the move.
I think that's what we have to do. We have to sell it to them, like already made, right?
Yeah. Everybody, I always have people ask me, you need a pilot and 3 episodes. Then that shows you're serious and people will talk to you.
Good to know.
We're trying to get the podcast to be like,
sponsored.
Not sponsored. We're not looking for sponsors.
Glenn Levitt,
we're not looking for sponsors. We're looking for the industry to listen. We just and to
absolutely.
Every show we go to, Jay, people come and tell us, thank you, I learned about this. We've been starstruck at some of the people that listen. We don't even believe it. We're like, what? You listen to us? So it's kind of fun to hear. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so here's what I would say is, industry people who are listening, this is a wonderful opportunity because you just heard the reason behind it. You heard the reason that people learn and are educated from this show. And you get a halo effect by being the sponsor of this show. So somebody step up and do it.
There we go.
Yeah. Hello.
But okay,
it's not a hard decision.
Yeah. Jay, what I know you said that we do miss the education, and I totally miss those times when we used to have like the real wholesale shows, and when we would really have a lot of like interaction with the florist, a real connection. Ryan and Ashley tried to create that with Fresh Fest, and we now have that here in our Fresh Fest, which is like a big it's a customer appreciation, but also it's a different scenario. But what would you like to bring back to the floral industry, or what do you think a trend that's coming back that we should be aware of that's happening?
Well, it's not a trend that is happening or that we would be aware of, but I think the education is so important because we have so many new people, and there are so there's this weird dichotomy, and it's kind of an SAF thing, and Mimi, you're kind of involved in it. It's embracing these new people and these young people.
Right.
But what I get told is I'm too old to talk to them. And so if I'm perceived as too old, I can't share with you the mistakes that I made and prevent you from making them yourself. And so I think there needs to be a little more respect in having somebody older come in and tell you the mistakes they made and help you alleviate, because that's what we did on stage. We would come in and say, don't do this because it'll save you this much time. And if you do this, your flowers are going to last longer. And if you do this, your flowers are going to get bigger. And these are the substitutes you can make for this product. And we would pass that information along because we have experience, and we sincerely didn't want somebody else to have to do that.
Right. You weren't doing it for the clout. No, you were doing it to help.
No, it's just to help them.
Pure education.
We need more people selling more flowers to more people more often, period.
Yeah.
And so the only way we do that is by making better florists and making better flower sellers. And that's how I wish that, I was asked to do a presentation for younger people, and they were like, they didn't want to hear from old people. So it's like, I get it, and I understand, but there's there is a dichotomy there, that there are people, the day I spent with Bill Rolota was amazing because I said, okay, I made an arrangement after he made his arrangement. I sous chef for him and then he made an arrangement. And I said, I'm going to make an arrangement. And so then we were at his house and we were sitting there and I finished the arrangement. And from up on his deck, I heard this. It's Bill. And I was like, what? Let's stop it, man. And he's like, you made that whole arrangement backwards. I can't do that. And so then he came down and I said, would you critique this arrangement for me? And he's like, okay, do you want me to be soft or you want me to go for it? And I said, I completely want you to go for it and he was like, I would move this flower over 1.5 inches. I would move this flower.
Wow.
He was right. He was right as rain. Everything he said made that arrangement that much better. And it was just like, here I am with the king of flower design, and he's critiquing my arrangement and helping it become better. How lucky am I?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's part of it. And I think that, you guys, JetFresh does a really great job of informing us about the new products that are available, about following trends with all of your roses and those roses that you do that are party roses, disco roses, whatever you guys. I think that's a really important thing because there is a whole part of our society that loves those. And there was also that old group that didn't like flowers that were tinted or colored.
Yep.
That is
it's definitely sweet and sour.
Yeah,
definitely.
where you can't use that old person for that product,
But people are coming around, Jay. Some of the people that were no-nevers are now yes sometimes.
I was a no-never, Mike. I told you before I didn't like them, and now I see opportunity in every single color. It's just like, oh wow, I can use this for that, or like there's so much.
I love dyed flowers and tinted flowers. I think it's amazing.
Color enhanced. Mr.
Jay.
Marketing Jay, you got to use color enhanced.
Hey Jay, what do you know about VIP roses? Do you know the guys from VIP Roses in Holland?
Yes, I do.
You come across them in your career?
Yeah.
You know those crazy wax dipped roses they did?
Yes, absolutely.
The Chacos?
Uh-huh.
What do you think of those?
I took those on television on my local CBS station. And one of my guests, who's a guest on my show all the time, but she was the anchor at the time, she was like, oh my God, this smells so good. And she ate it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And she was just like, oh. And I was like, how is that? And we're on live television.
Oh.
And she's like, how is that? And she's like, oh, it's good. And then we end up, she's like, that was horrible. It's just like wax and there's no, and I was like,
shit.
It's not a real chocolate rose. She's like, oh, sorry. But I mean, so I just think there's a place for everything in the flower world. There is a place, a reason, and an opportunity for it. And there are going to be the people who love it, and there are going to be the people who don't. And so those things that you have, sell them to the people who love them. Yeah, and unapologetically, and have an opportunity for something else for the people who don't like them. It's super simple.
Amen.
That's
preach on.
Yeah. It's easy.
Jay, we've talked a whole lot of good. I know you
did.
Work. I know you work.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of hard work. But you gotta tell us, there's gotta be a little bad.
He gave us some of that, no? With the
little what? A little bad.
Yeah.
A little bad of what you do or what you've come across.
Oh, okay. So we get about
ugly.
We get about 350 to 600 pieces of email or actual snail mail every week. So we get a big bundle, and I respond to them all.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And most of the time they are like, I had one this week. This lady said, I've been battling cancer for 2 years. My chemo's not going well. I spend so much time on the couch, but I found your show and I'm binge watching it. And in the past 2 years, the only time I feel good is when you're on the screen and I don't think about my stomach hurting and my, my cancer.
Oh, wow.
I mean, those make up the majority. So there is this unique group of people who are generally men and generally elderly men who do not like the music on my show. And they write me letters.
You have to play that music right here.
About my music. and they don't like the guitar in the music. And so I was like, this is so weird because these are always little old men. And so I talked to a person at public television who got me in touch with a linguist and an audio specialist. And she said, here is the reason why, and this is an important reason why your show is closed captioned. Respond to them by saying, just turn off the sound and read the closed captioning, which they don't want to do just because they're men and they're older. And
don't tell them what to do, Jay. That's it.
There is a unique vibration for elderly men between my voice level and guitar strumming that makes it inaudible to them.
Oh, damn.
And so we, it was just really interesting to find out. But, you get those, you get those. And P. Allen Smith told me one time, he said, when you get a complaint, just delete it. And I think that that's probably pretty good advice, but I don't. I am not that person. I have to respond to it.
Me too.
And I always try and listen. And I
like a Google review.
And generally, I mean, I think another thing that's important is hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. That's a nice saying. And so I think if you can come at it with compassion and love, that you can usually fix it. But other than that, I will tell you that I like doing consumer stuff over doing industry stuff because the consumer loves flowers. Mm-hmm. They love any flower, even if it's in a little bit rough condition. They love flowers and they just love them, and they don't complain, and they're not bitter, and they're not jaded, which can happen in our industry because it's hard work. That's hard work. It's normal. I understand that. And so that makes them really fun to deal with, is because they're that way, And I can remember that in my shows, I would always talk about my mother and use my mother as an example. And people would come up to me afterwards, and it'd be like a mother-daughter pair, you could tell. And the mother would come up and say, you are way too hard on your mother, and you need to quit talking so badly about her. And the daughter behind her would say, she's your mother. And it was like, I get that, because in being in business with family, it's tough sometimes. And so you guys, Brian, you and Mike know that, I'm sure. Sometimes it's hard. It's your family, so I'm really glad I'm not in a family business anymore.
Your approach with Kelly's different.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
That's good.
There's a difference between husband and wife and family.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jay, if someone wants to reach out to you, before we get into Ryan's questions, if they want to reach out to you, they want to learn about your production, or maybe they want to invite you to come visit their family's farm, how do they reach out to you?
The letter J at ubloom.com. That's the letter UBLOOM.com, ubloom.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me, because those come directly to me. Those emails come right to me, and I answer all of them. So, and yes, please, if somebody has an idea or somebody wants to invite us, we are going to be covering in season 8. We're going to the new San Francisco Flower Market. We're going to Florabundance. We're going to Ocean Breeze Flowers. We're going, I'm really crossing my fingers. We're going to Mayesh at the San Francisco Flower Market. I want to go to Wilton Lee's store and talk to Wilton Lee and his kids about running a 3rd generation family business.
Yeah.
And Wilton Lee is one of my favorite people in the entire
Well, let us know when you get ready to take the show on the East Coast and talk all about that Miami market, because we're going to have a new building and we're going to have a lot in store for you.
We would love to see it. And Mike, I'm going to keep in mind that Ball Rose Farm, because we have a Pennsylvania, New York one that we're working on, and once I can get enough participants together and get the concepts all correct.
Well, I heard they were doing bedding plants or seed or something there.
Doesn't matter. But you
got to do you can do the 28th Street Market with Mike there in New York too. That'll be a good episode.
Oh, I would love that, Mike. That would be a whole lot of fun.
Mike would be a good one. That one, yeah.
I
That would be
he's
awesome.
got so much history in his head from what went on there to what's going on. I mean,
but I
that'd be
still think that the consumer needs to know a lot about how important Miami is. Like, yeah, I mean, Jay did one episode in Colombia. I remember you did something.
I think that's the dirty part of our business that people really don't want to.
They don't want to talk
You know
about.
what I would love to do though, Mike, and maybe
importing and the whole chain of the cold chain, the warehousing,
you don't
and
like
the
that,
trucks,
Mike?
all that stuff. I mean, that's what I do. That's how I make my living. But I don't think that's the pretty part of our business.
Right.
But I
right.
think here's what I would love to do, and I would love to do it with you guys if you could, is following a rose from Ecuador to a table in Michigan.
Oh, we can do
Let's
that.
do it.
There you go.
Done
Let's do
deal.
it.
That is the
Let's do it.
because I think it needs to be seen how it goes through and how it's inspected, and then how it goes further from there and how it comes to another flower seller and then ends up on that table. I think that's a dream story, is that how does my flower get here?
Mm-hmm.
I think
We have to fly to Ecuador to do that.
Okay.
Oh,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That would be great.
And okay, here's my deal.
And I think you would fall
want to
in
mark
love
that
with our
rose.
boutique farm. You would
I want to mark that rose
in love with it.
I want to mark that rose in the dirt on your farm,
Mm-hmm.
and cut it and follow it,
Mm-hmm.
which means we got to do like 5 of them, because
We've talked about doing this.
makes your toast, but we got to do that and then have it sitting there with me holding the label in Michigan and you holding the label in Ecuador.
And what about we could do a rose tattoo with Jay's face on a rose? Jay's face with his haircut on a rose. I like that.
I like the Life in Bloom logo better. Sorry, Jay. It's not. No offense.
I do like the Life in Bloom logo better too. Yeah,
no offense, Jay. You're very cute, but remember Marvin removed you from my.
Oh, wow.
Kelly,
shots fired over here.
Damn.
Kelly painted the Life in Bloom logo on pumpkins for our Halloween special. That's coming
Oh,
up this year.
cute.
Yeah, they're cute. It's cute.
Okay. Jay, we're gonna ask you questions. These are rapid fire, so try not to think too much about it. Your answer.
All right.
Okay. In your opinion, what is the best sandwich?
Reuben. Turkey
What?
Reuben.
Turkey Reuben. What at the moment is your favorite flower?
Red carnation.
What is the scariest animal?
A hippo.
What is the most overrated flower?
You could say it.
You don't have to have one.
I don't have one because I love every flower and everyone has its own purpose. So yeah.
What about the most underrated flower?
Oh, the gardenia.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Bring it back.
Damn.
Bring it back.
Kittyama.
Damn, Kittyama.
Yeah.
Damn you, Robert.
Bring it back.
I open invitation for someone in the United States to put in a greenhouse full of gardenia bushes so we can have stem gardenias all year long, and I will buy a package every week.
There
Me
is
too.
a .com company that's doing that. I've gotten some
But they're not. But they're.
ads.
Are they fresh? Because I can't ever
They are
get them.
fresh. They are fresh, and it's $300 for a box.
Ooh.
Wow, a box of 3?
Lord.
When I was in Hawaii at Cindy's Lay Shop, you could get a dozen gardenias with a tea leaf wrapped around them for $20.
Ooh.
And I took them back and put them in my hotel room, and it woke up to the smell of gardenias
Beautiful.
Every morning.
and went to sleep with the smell of gardenias. So I'm sorry, Ryan.
Gardenias
No.
was so popular when I was a kid that there was a whole department in the wholesale house they had a gardenia guy.
Oh yeah,
That's
Wow.
Because they
it
were
was
so
that big of a
sensitive,
thing.
right? Because they would. But that's why it had a guy. Because they were so sensitive.
the ones I've seen in the recent years, they were packed exactly the same. 3 in this little cardboard
remember
box
work
with a
gardenias
cellophane
too?
wrapper.
A box of 50 or 100.
Yeah,
Work gardenias.
the
Oh my
work
God,
gardenias.
loved those. Loved those.
That ties into the next question. What's your go-to way to relax?
To watch television with my husband.
Anything you're binging currently?
Let's see. Big Cats on PBS.
Oh.
And Only Murders in the Building.
Oh.
And then we just watched Grey Gardens again because you have to.
Oh my gosh. We were talking
Have
about
you
that episode, right? Ryan, go the
Have
Grey
you
Gardens.
seen that?
The spoof.
What was that show called? Documentary Now with Bill Hader?
Documentary now too, but we watched the original. So
Well, you have to see the original to understand
you have
it.
to see, yeah, but yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
Good.
I'm not a Libra. Are you a Libra?
No.
We're both Cancers. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay. What kind of flowers do you want at your funeral?
So this is I want set pieces.
Okay.
I want, like a heart or a broken wheel or, I love set pieces. I think set pieces are amazing. So, yeah.
Perfect. If you could pick a movie or TV character to have lunch with, who would it be?
Probably Patty LuPone.
Patty LuPone. Nice. 2 more questions. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
That every time I reach in my pocket, I would pull out $100 bill.
Ooh. It's a good
Man.
one.
I never.
How come I never thought of that? That's great.
Sid, look at Sid. He's so big.
Monster Sid.
Sid, we miss you.
It's a horse.
Oh, aw.
He's so cute, Jay. He's like the sweetest dog.
That's his emotional support puppy.
I get it completely, 100%.
Do you see the picture of Jay's puppy back there on the set?
Yeah, that's Ellie. That was Ellie.
Beautiful picture.
Last question. What would be your go-to late night drunk food?
Pizza.
Yeah,
What's pizza? What topping?
Pepperoni extra cheese.
Nice. I love
Pizza.
pepperoni.
I miss pizza.
Yeah. I don't drink anymore, so I don't know what that is. That's funny that you would say that, but I still crave the pepperoni pizzas.
Oh yeah.
I gave it up in April. I sleep so much better.
Really?
And it wasn't for purpose, but I sleep. And so at night I had probably hundreds of bottles of liquor in my home. And I look at them every night when I go to mix a drink, and then I'm like, I bet I want to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And so I found this Lyres, Lyres, fake scotch.
Huh.
It has 0 calories, and so I drink it either on the rocks or with soda water, and it tastes exactly like scotch.
Mm.
Only I don't get a buzz, and I sleep well.
There you go. I gotta try that out.
It's made in Australia. So
Lyres. I like the name Lyres. That's funny.
yeah, Lyres.
If you're
They make
lying,
some
it's not
other
real.
Other 0 proof stuff too. So yeah, but we still make cocktails on the show, and I was
gonna say, yeah.
Our dogs the dogs are going to be on this season, because Miss Margot, our Native American bone reader, came to the garden to give Georgie a reading. So that's going to happen.
That's a good episode.
Yeah, Miss Margot's she's crazy.
One last question, Jay. Is there somebody you could suggest to us to be a future guest on our podcast?
Well, okay, so there's a couple people. Deborah Steyer, who is now retired from Albertsons, but she was the buyer at Albertsons for many years, and she's retired now. But she's also going to be on the that flower feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Deborah is brilliant, and she was one of the largest flower buyers in the United States, and she has a really interesting avenue there. I think Corey Sanchez would be a great person as well. The other person that I really am fascinated by is Ben Pauley, who is at Passion. He's my contact at Passion, and I think he's an amazing individual too. Because he's been around forever, and I think that's an interesting part. Is I love that. But the other person that I mentioned was, and I don't know if he would do it, but Eddie Van Bargen from Entman's Flower Shop in New Jersey Newark is. He's a cool man. He can show you all this cool stuff he's made. So there's that. Yeah.
Great suggestion.
Newark, New Jersey was where Muller Brothers Wholesale was.
Okay.
He had one city block wholesale florist. It was huge.
Oh.
So on Long Island, there was is it Long Island Wholesale?
Joey from Long Island Wholesale? Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, I used to do shows for them all the time. It was always a hoot. It was always so much fun. So yeah, they would invite me to do shows, and it was like, it was a great wholesale house. I mean, and when old wholesale houses also have that same magic that old.
Yeah, with the wooden squeaky floors and the refrigerators that are made out of cork.
Yeah.
Cork and wood.
And the doors with the lock that just like clank, and the shuts.
If you got locked in there, you were locked in there. You weren't getting out.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. Hey, it was really fun, you guys.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. We really appreciate you sharing with our listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, my pleasure. And it's always good to see Mimi, even though I'm not, I'm not Mark. But it's okay.
Oh, you broke his heart, Mimi. You broke his heart. God.
Jay's too young for me.
Well, hey, thanks. You guys do a great job. This is an awesome podcast.
Thank you.
I love it, and it's a treat to be on. So
thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a star-studded, action-packed episode. Thank you, Jay, for being on. Mike, Ryan, Mimi on the ones and twos. Good job today, Mimi. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.